Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
Good evening and welcome you to the Fitchburg Board of Public Works meeting for June 2nd, 2025, held here in the Francis Huntley Cooper Council Chambers. Tonight attending, we have Don on my left, myself, Dave Wilborn, and Alder Jetzer is zooming in. Kim Lobdell is off with excuse. Agenda item number 2, public appearances for non-agenda items. I don't believe we have any. So that takes us to 3 Alpha, approval of minutes from the May 19th meeting. Do we have a motion to approve?
I so move we approve May 19 meetings.
Okay.
Second.
Moved by Wilborn, second by Gutowski. Any questions, revisions, additions? Bill? No. Okay. Call the vote. All in favor of approval of the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The minutes are approved. Next, we have agenda item 4, report of our Director of Public Works, Mr. Tim Volker, PE.
Thank you. Good evening. Follow-up item from our May 19th, 2025 Board of Public Works meeting was brought up that the Lacey Road, Seminole Highway streetlights were still not functioning. We went out after that meeting and all the lights were working and MG&E did put in the service. There was one light we found. It was close to Rock Ridge Road. That is out of service, so we reached out to the contractor to have them come out and take a look at that light. But otherwise, all the lights from the roundabout west to Fitch-Rona are functioning. And then also, just before I go into the project updates, Alder Herbst had reached out to me just questioning, if we noticed anything out of the ordinary with the work that Thunder Road did for our 2024 street maintenance project. That's our crack sealing project. And during the construction of the crack sealing, we received a couple complaints and, but nothing out of the ordinary, given that we crack sealed 650,000 square yards of roads. And we did inspect their work, which wasn't substandard by any means. And any defective work we found was included on the punch list and repaired prior to final payment. And then in addition, we'll be inspecting their work again for defective areas, most likely this month, and then any defective areas found would be repaired by the contractor and covered by the warranty. And then a couple project updates I have, starting with our Sain Road reconstruction project. Last week we started installing the storm sewer for that project for phase 2. And the storm sewer was installed between East Sherrill and West Clayton. And then this week they'll continue on that storm sewer work and then also start the water main work for that project. And then phase 3, which is from Clayton Road north through the McCoy intersection, we're still on hold for that project. We're waiting on pricing on the change order for the select crushed rock that we need to install under the roadway due to the marsh conditions. So once we get the pricing, we can execute a change order and finally move forward with that project. Our 2025 street resurfacing project, we anticipate the concrete work for that project, which is the curb and gutter, driveways, and there's 5 speed tables to be done by mid-June. Once they're done with the concrete work, they'll start with the paving for that project. So we anticipate paving starting mid-June also. And then our 2025 street maintenance project, which is our crack filling and chip seal project, we anticipate advertising the project this month. And then our ARPA street resurfacing project will also be starting here shortly. That's the Belmar neighborhood. And then the contractor will also be starting with the concrete work first and then paving to follow shortly thereafter. And then lastly, our Fish Hatchery Road water main replacement project. This was the repair work from the break that we had in February of 2024. And the water main has been installed. Curb and gutter replacement is anticipated this week, and then paving next week, weather dependent. With that, does anyone have any questions?
Board members?
No.
Go ahead. I had, I guess, more comment. I would, when Thunder Road comes, I would just ask them if something happens that a citizen is unhappy, to email you guys right away, so you know it's coming before a resident is lambasting us, and so you kind of can gather the facts a little bit.
Sure.
So just ask them simply that.
Will do. And it may not be Thunder Road this time, depending on who gets the low bid.
Whoever
but
you get,
yeah,
yeah.
we'll in the pre-construction meeting, that's something we can bring up.
Sounds good. Then the second, the Sain, they're working on the stormwater. The money we transferred money. We're not doing the Schuman Drive oversizing of the stormwater. We transferred that money. Was that transferred for the storm sewer along Sain Road, or is it just one big pot that we're kind of working on?
There was a budget amendment associated with the Sain Road reconstruction project, and that money, when we awarded the contract to Parisi, the stormwater was, a budget amendment was done from the Schuman Drive project to cover some of the stormwater project, but the scope of the Schuman has changed. It's not as large as it was previously anticipated. That's why we weren't cutting back anything from the Schuman Drive project.
Thank you, Tim. I'm going to make a point here on, Mr. Haith, accused us, well, you don't care about stormwater, and you took the Schuman Drive money and just used it on Sain Road. And as Tim has mentioned, what we can do up there maybe was a little bit limited, but we have a different plan that is not as costly, and we are not ignoring ignoring the stormwater problems in that in the Seminole Glen Park. I just want to make on public record about that. Okay. Any other questions? I see the street sweepers out working.
Yes.
I'll ask this now that it's getting warm. Our pumping system everything is up and online. We don't have anything down for maintenance as far as wells.
For wells? We
Wells
do
and
not.
towers? Okay.
Wells are functioning.
Excellent. Good to hear. All right. Thank you, Tim. Then we'll move on to our agenda items here. The first one is agenda item R9625, acceptance of salt reduction grant award. We have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve R9625.
Moved by Don. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Jetzer. We're receiving a grant from the county for a scale to meter out the salt more accurately on a truck. Is that what this is about?
Correct. We actually received it from the Madison Metropolitan Sewage District, and it was in the amount for $2,154.75. So that covered half the cost of the road calibration scale that we purchased back in January of 2025. So we're just looking for council to accept the salt reduction grant award.
So we do not have the salt scale on all our plow trucks.
We do not. So previously what we did was, in order to calibrate the trucks, it basically took a shovel into a pail and weighed each pail for each truck, which was very time consuming. So now we have a scale that can measure each truck. It's a lot more efficient time-wise and accurate.
So this is a scale to measure how much salt is on the truck. It's not necessarily...
No, to calibrate the truck. So
Okay.
we open up the truck, let it, the salter do its thing, and then measure the output to see that it is, that what the controls are saying that it's putting out on the roadway is accurate.
So it's measuring how much is on the truck, so it knows it's calibrated, so how much to be spreading.
Yeah, the calibrating equipment's a proven strategy to reduce the overall salt use by verifying the application rate.
I was surprised Madison Met would have, I know they're trying to, their salt is coming mostly from water softeners, going back, the stormwater doesn't go to the plant at all, so I was kind of surprised glad to take it, but it's kind of curious why.
Why it was
Yeah.
through Madison Metropolitan?
Yeah, I know. Board members, questions on this?
No.
Are we getting any sort of reduction from Madison Metropolitan Sewer for having this calibration? It's not paying for the whole scale. They're just paying a partial.
Yeah, they're just given the one-time 50% cost of the scale. That's it. There's no reduction on any customer rates or anything like that.
Alder Jetzer?
Yeah, I was wondering, so there's requirements in there for the reporting. Is that part of Madison Metro's interest in this? In soliciting our feedback, or is that just like standard practice? Anytime there's a grant, you got to show that you properly use the money.
Yeah, typically there is that requirement, but the grantor who's giving away the money, there is a reason why they're giving away to get that information. So, they want to see kind of the efficiencies that we found, which is the time for us to calibrate's a lot easier. So we'll calibrate once a year each of our trucks at the beginning of the season to make sure that application rate's correct. Then also, if we make any repair to the salter or hydraulic system on it, we should be recalibrating it to make sure that repair work is still applicating the salt correctly. So they are interested in the efficiencies, and then also any lessons learned from the new equipment we purchased, which we haven't had any lessons learned yet. The staff, Public Works, Mark's staff really likes it's a lot easier process for them to utilize, a lot more efficient.
Tim, any sense of, by having this calibrated, what percentage decrease in salt we will use?
So when we used it this year and calibrated each of our trucks, there was 11 trucks that were calibrated, and we found one out of the 11 that was kind of off with its application rate. So most of the trucks stayed calibrated and what they were supposed to be, but that one truck, I guess you could say, was where we got the efficiency from.
Okay. So it's not, the ones that are calibrated properly, we're not, all of them will be using less salt, am I correct, if they're calibrated, or were they calibrated before?
If they're calibrated correctly, they're using what they should be, so that one truck, I don't know if it was under giving the salt or over giving the salt, but if it was over giving the salt, then yeah, we would see a reduction from that one truck.
Okay. What's the estimated lifetime on this?
For the scale? Or?
Yeah.
Probably 10, 20 years. It's
I guess 10 years. Anytime you're dealing with salt, everything gets eaten up. Okay. All right.
Tim, I didn't see it in here, but there is no requirement from MMSD to measure what we are utilizing and report that.
at the end of the season, which has happened, we're supposed to kind of report our successes and lessons learned. So we'll kind of give some pictures of, the scale we purchased, the invoice, the guys utilizing the scale. I think they even said we could maybe send a video of them using it, and then, just provide the successes and lessons learned. So we'll be kind of submitting that in a final report, 1 or 2 page document.
Okay, so we don't have to track chloride reduction or salt reduction usage?
No, we do not.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to put a $2,000 administrative burden on the staff for reporting. We're all for reducing the salt, but I still have to look at the bottom line what it's costing the city. So, all right. Any other questions, Bill? Anything else?
Yeah, so is this the only scale we've got? And do we have any plans on outfitting all of our trucks this way?
It doesn't get outfitted on each truck. It's a standalone scale that the truck backs up to. You turn on the truck to apply the salt onto the scale, and that's how it measures the weight. So each truck, the scale just sits in a static location, and then the truck comes to it. So that one scale can measure all 11 trucks.
Then the spreader is calibrated, Bill. The spreader is calibrated to the tonnage or weight of
To
salt
the
on there.
application rate.
Yeah, the application rate. Yeah.
So Tim, it sounded like all our trucks but one was actually calibrated, okay?
Correct.
The one that was not, it wasn't one of the brand new ones we just bought, was it?
I don't know, but I don't suspect that being the issue, the newer truck not being calibrated. Okay. Most likely one of the older ones.
Any other questions on it?
No, we're just lucky it was only one.
Yeah, well,
When you think about it.
knowing Mark Hoddle, he runs a good operation. I certainly expect less than 10% error on anything with him. He really runs a good operation. Okay. All right, then we'll call the vote. Hang on, I paged down already. I'm sorry. All in favor of Resolution R9625, acceptance of salt reduction grant award, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, the motion carries. Okay. Next, we get to resolution, I got page down again. We have Resolution R9525, acceptance of organics management grant award and approval of contract with Sustained Dane. We have a motion to approve.
Motion
I'll move
approved.
approval.
We'll give that Alder Jetser and second by Don. The county is giving us an award for $1,100 for organic waste. Run down how this is going to work here, I guess.
Yes, so the city was awarded $1,100 from the Dane County Waste and Renewables through their Organics Management Grant Program. The awarded dollars are to be used to partially fund a contract with Sustained Dane to provide food scrap collection and organics management education at the Fitchburg Farmers Market throughout the summer of 2025. Sustained Dane will provide these services for 12 weeks for a fee of $9,960. We're looking for council for approval to accept the grant award and enter into a contract with Sustained Dane. A budget amendment is required to accept and apply the awarded funds to this expense and to reallocate $4,660 of funds previously approved for Fitchburg Star advertising The remaining contract costs will be paid for with funds allocated for outreach and education. So we're looking for council to accept the Organics Management Grant Award of $1,100 and approve the contract with Sustain Dane for $9,960, and then to also amend the 2025 Refuge and Recycling Fund budget to accept the Organics Management Award for $1,100, and then to apply the $1,100 to this project. And then also amend the 2025 Refuge and Recycling Fund budget to reallocate $4,660 of funds previously approved for the Fitchburg Star advertising to this account for the project.
All right. Thank you, Tim. I'll open it up to the board for questions.
Tim, what kind of level of effort does the city have to put into this? Do you have to staff it? Do you have to put boxes out? Do you have to?
Yeah, so the city doesn't have to staff it. That's where Sustain Dane comes in to play. So for the 12 weeks at the Fitchburg's Farmers Market, they'll be the ones staffing it and providing the containers for people to bring the food scraps to. Then once the market's over, Sustain Dane will also take the collected food scraps to the compost facility and handle the travel and unloading of the material.
But they're getting in front of 10,000 to do it.
Yes.
Where do we expect the organic waste to come from?
It'll be from the residents of Fitchburg. So we're anticipating that within the 12-week program, about 3,000 pounds of food scraps. And that's kind of based off what Sustain Dane has done with a couple local farmers markets that they attend on the west and south sides of Madison.
So this isn't to collect food scraps at the farmer's market when it's operational. It's anyone can drop off at.
Anyone can drop off.
Gotcha.
And there will be also associated with Sustain Dane, it's not just staffing the farmer's market, it's also the outreach to let residents know that this program is happening for the 12 weeks. And then also they'll be attending a city functioned event from the Resource Conservation Commission sometime this summer, giving a presentation regarding this.
So there's going to be a printout as to how you're supposed to bring it, what you can bring, what you're not allowed to bring, and all that.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So is this just vegetable waste, am I assuming?
Yeah, it'll be vegetable, fruit waste. Kind of the foods not allowed would be meats, dairies. In addition to the vegetable and fruit, eggshells, also coffee grinds.
Eggshells, really? I put those in my compost. And coffee grinds. Oh.
But Sustain Dane, so they'll be doing the one community event ahead of the start of the market for promotion. The staff provide a team for the food scrap collection, outreach, and community engagement. They'll transport the food scraps for the composting, program management, reporting for the grant.
I'll give you my 2 cents worth. I have 3 compost bins in my yard, and no vegetable waste goes into the either garbage disposal or in their garbage. It's all in there, and I would, I think we'd be more successful. The 4660, that we were going to take, move from the garbage collection budget, for advertising. I think we'd be far better off providing free compost bins to people, and we would divert far more than the 3,000 pounds, and it would be used, 52 weeks a year. I'm all for reducing what's going into the landfill, believe me, but I'm not sure this is that feasible. I really think, like I say, give residents free compost bins, we'll forego far more than 3,000 pounds, maybe 30,000 by the time you're done with it. So that's my 2 cents worth. I'd like to hear the other board members' thoughts on this.
Yeah, I think it's just a little expensive I don't know how many people are going to do it. Number one, that they're going to pack up that stuff, take it down there. But especially, we've been here around long enough, we have our compost out, so.
Don?
Tim, we are diverting $4,660. If it doesn't go towards this, what's it going to go towards? It was kind of set aside for this type of thing, I guess, not necessarily this renewable.
Yeah, so the total cost, it's $9,960, and then the grants for $1,100. So the total cost would be $8,860, and we're kind of taking it from two areas. One was the Fitchburg Star advertisement. So every year, as part of our MS4 permit, we need to do some outreach for stormwater and that, so that this could potentially be taken from that. And then also we budget every year for outreach also, so that money would be spent, I guess, on a different set of outreach programs.
So the money we set aside for whatever it was, Adopt a Drain and stormwater, would no longer occur if we approve this?
No, they still would occur. There's, I guess, excess advertisement money available for things that come up throughout the year. So if something did come up that we needed to advertise, we'd have to either not advertise it or find funding in a different account and transfer it.
Bill, you're on resource conservation. I think you guys were behind this. Give me your take here.
Well, I guess I'll just remind everybody that roughly 50% of all city residents live in multifamily apartment buildings. So, the idea of giving everybody a compost bin probably works for anybody who lives in a single family home and is sufficiently motivated to do something like this. But for anybody who just wants to, feel like they're doing their part, they can take their scraps to the farmer's market and have somebody compost them. It does sound pretty pricey if we're spending close to $10,000 to collect 3,000 pounds of food scraps. I don't know what an alternative would be. We've got community gardens throughout the city. If you want to organize volunteer groups to pick some of that stuff or work with Sustain Dane to take over that program after the pilot is done, that might be something that's of interest.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Bill and Tim. Will it be feasible for us, in the city to composting sites, that people drop the stuff off and once a year we turn it over. I'm just looking at this cost, and I'm seeing other options that would allow us to be used the whole year, and it might be, as Bill mentioned, correctly, a lot of apartment dwellers. Well, maybe we could give a grant to the apartments to put in their own, a larger compost bin at their apartments. I just feel there's other options we could use this money to forego much larger amount of waste going into the landfill.
And I think with this program it's a pilot program, so I do acknowledge the cost of the almost $10,000. However, it's not tying us down past this year, and I think just to kind of see what interest is out there and then kind of go from there and maybe tweak it to where, hey, can the city do this cheaper? And can we, like Alder Herbst just mentioned, maybe put up compost areas throughout the city and maybe collect it with city staff or versus, spending the 10 grand to have Sustained Dane do it, and if there is no interest, then, that obviously wouldn't do it again. I do know where I used to work, we did the compost and we bought it. We actually would have a seminar, up to 20 attendees, have them come, they would attend the seminar, how to compost, give out a free composter. However, one, you had to purchase the composter, then the city staff had to assemble it. So, it was very tedious at doing that. However, there was interest. The seminars would sell out, and we had multiple of them. So that's something we could always look into if this pilot program doesn't take off. Or
it's different, you say, well, we'll put these around the city. Then I can guarantee there's gonna be people in here going, oh, I got mice or rats, or it's they're not. The compost bin is not without issues, as I can tell you. But I say, oh, it's a pilot. Well, the next thing, I'm stuck with this thing until I die. I'd like to explore, maybe work with the Resource Conservation, come up with some other options. I think we could easily forego 10 times this amount, for this amount of money with a different approach.
Alder Jetzer, were there any other options discussed at RCC for this, or?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. We've kind of talked about this on and off for a number of months. And I think, if you were to look into some kind of a green box subscription for a number of people, I don't know that the cost is significantly different. And I think we had maybe discussed somebody like, Groundswell Conservancy. Are they interested in doing the collection and hauling this to their community garden? I think there's plenty of discussion that could be had. If you've got ideas, go ahead and send an email to Ben Schulte and the chair for RCC, Chris Jameson.
Thank you for that suggestion, Bill. Okay.
And this will be going to RCC a week from today.
All right. Any other discussion on this?
Yep.
Okay. We'll call the vote then. All in favor of resolution R9525, acceptance of organics management grant, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Nay.
Nay.
The motion fails 3-1. Again, board members, and if you have you have neighbors that are really interested in this, please. Bill gave you the contacts at RCC. Please get them information, or come to RCC to talk about this. I voted no on this. But I think you can tell I'm certainly for moving as much of that waste stream out of our landfills as possible, because then it can be reused. So let's put our heads together. We'll see what comes of this. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. It was a good discussion. Okay. All right, page back up again.
Was any of it, what about at our current recycling center, where we put the brush and we putting something out there for people to drop off?
Another option, another option. Again, any compost is not without problem.
Oh yeah,
smell,
I agree.
But actually, if it's done well, it doesn't have that much smell. Throw stuff in, and most of the time, doing it right, there's not much odor there. All right, now let's move on then. Our next announcements, our next part of the Public Works meeting is Monday, June 16th at 5:30, then Monday the 16th. Bill, are you available for that? I'm going to be in the Boundary Waters on the 16th.
Yes, I am available.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to ask you to chair if you're amenable.
Is Kim around? Because
I
I'm
can do that.
in Canada.
You might not be here
I
either.
won't be here. I'll be in
Okay.
Canada.
I could be up north. I don't know.
Okay. Let me check with Kim. We might not have a quorum, Tim. We'll try to. I'll poll everyone this week and let you know.
It's either that week or the week later. I'll find out when I get home.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm available
I'll let you know.
the week later, but I'll be in Ely in the Boundary Waters that week. Okay. All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move we adjourn.
Moved by Wilborn, second by Don. All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you for your attendance tonight, members.